Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue our NFL predictions with Week 9. And we're just a little over halfway through the season. Last week I went 11 and 5, which was respectable. Total season record 78 and 45. And now that we're halfway past the season, we're beginning to see who are legit contenders and who are legit pretenders. And before we begin our predictions, a reminder that the Pittsburgh Steelers and the San Francisco 49ers, two teams coming off of pretty interesting wins, they all have bye weeks this week. And that takes us to our spooky matchup for Thursday Night Football, in which the Houston Texans will be taking on the New York Jets. The Texans, they completed the season sweep of the Indianapolis Colts. Although CJ Stroud numbers were still underwhelming, I know I have him on fantasy. As for the New York Jets, look, they're just finding new ways to lose games. They lost yet again this time to their division rival New England Patriots on a last second touchdown. So yeah, they might have the creeps heading into this week. Everything about the Jets right now completely backfiring. This Aaron Rodgers experiment, firing their head coach Robert Saleh, getting Devontae Adams thinking that'll fix everything, and so far everything has not worked out for the New York Jets. So it's best that on Halloween night their demons will be faced against the Houston Texans. And in this game, I'm not gonna say this is a sure bet for the Texans because Stephon Diggs, he's out for the year with a torn ACL, which means we will not be getting that Dig Bowl for the second year in a row. And they're actually favoring the Jets in this game. I'm honestly surprised that I'm seeing that. But if the Jets rely on the running game, well, they'll have a shot. But if the Texans rely on the running game, I think they'll probably win this game in MetLife Stadium. And as for the Jets, pack them up. Just pack them up. Next we have is the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Cowboys are in a similar situation with the Jets, just when things can't get any worse, they do. They once again lost to the 49ers. Shocker. And a game where Dak continuing to throw interceptions like no one's watching. But he did throw two touchdowns in the fourth quarter. But he's known for doing that. He's known for stinking up the first three quarters, and then when garbage time comes in, he'll pad his stats, make him look better than what he is when he's been basically overrated for the last, I don't know, since the entire Mike McCarthy era. He has not elevated his franchise to no wins, or he basically got the bag and run, like Johnny Bananas did on the challenge. As for the Falcons, they got the win over the Bucks, completing their season sweep. Granted, they took on a very hobbled Bucks team, but hey, a win's a win. And what do you know? They finally used Kyle Pitts, two touchdowns on tight ends day. Hopefully, they'll probably use him again. And given that the Falcons have a lot of momentum and pretty much a playoff spot is, can't believe I'm saying it, it's kind of a straight shot. I'm gonna give it to the Falcons to win this game. They did well in division play, and right now they're already 4-0 in the division. Falcons right now, they have a lot of momentum ahead of them. And my little prediction of them winning the NFC South is looking more and more believable. And then we have an AFC East matchup between the Miami Dolphins taking on the Buffalo Bills. The Dolphins, they got Tua back, but they still came up short against the Arizona Cardinals. They lost on the game-winning field goal, but hey, they look better with Tua than without him. Give them that. And as for the Bills, they picked up a huge road win in Seattle, relying on the running game, even though Josh Allen threw his first interception of the season. But the Bills, they pretty much look kind of back to normal after a few weeks of suspect play. And given this is in Buffalo, yeah, I don't see. I mean, I can see the Dolphins winning this game, but the Dolphins already lost to them this year. And yeah, it's not looking too good for the Miami Dolphins in this one. I gotta roll with the Bills. And then we have the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Raiders losing to the Chiefs. What else is new? And for the Bengals, they lost at home after had a pretty rough second half against the Philadelphia Eagles. They played well in the first half, but that when that second half hit, ugh, yeah, it was pretty bad. And yeah, this is another game where picking a winner is pretty cut and dry. I'm gonna roll with the Cincinnati Bengals to win. I mean, they got at this point they have to start running the table because they're falling behind in the AFC quicker and quicker. And then we have a interesting matchup between the Los Angeles Chargers, almost said San Diego for a bit, and the Cleveland Browns. Chargers picking up a win over the Saints and using their defense, and Herbert did okay for the most part. And as for the Browns, we finally got an answer. Jameis Winston was Jameis Winston was able to uplift the Browns, get them a win over their division rival Ravens, and it answered all our questions. Yes, Deshaun Watson was the problem here. So in this game, yeah, don't expect a lot of points in this one. It's two of the best defenses in the AFC. It and you know what? Because this is going to be a defensive battle, I can see this going any way. And part of me want to take the Chargers. However, if the Browns played like what they did last week, I'm gonna say the Browns will shock the world and get the win over the Chargers. Next, we have oh god, the New England Patriots taking on the Tennessee Titans. Well, it's not all bad for the Patriots. They got a win over the New York Jets, but their savior of the future, Drake May, he got hurt. He suffered a concussion, and who knows if he'll be available in this one. As for the Titans, blown out by the Lions, and I believe this was their first loss to the Lions ever since becoming the Titans. Prior to they were unbeaten prior to all that, but that's beside the point. And you know what? Picking this game is actually really, 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 really tough because there's a lot of things I might be basing my pick off of. If if Drake May, if he somehow clears concussion protocol and plays, I'm probably gonna lean towards the Patriots. But if he don't, I'm probably gonna lean towards the Tennessee Titans. They're actually in their favorite by 3.5 points. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna make a pick for this game just yet because I still need to see who's playing and who's not, and if Jacoby Brissett starts, if we get a Jacoby Brissett and Mason Rudolph matchup, oh god, it's going to be really, really tough to pick. So consider this to be continued. There's no hope for Carolina. Then we have the Washington Commanders taking on the New York Giants. And for the Commanders, they better thank Tariq Stevens for that glorious hand-gifted wrap win. They won on a Hail Mary Noah Brown touchdown. Whoop-de-doo. Then for the Giants, another primetime loss. This time they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it wasn't as bad as the people expected to be. And seriously, stop giving the Giants primetime games. So for this game, well, to be fair, Washington's already played the Commanders this season, and they already won against them week 2. So, looking at this game, I have to lean toward the Commanders to win. It looked like Jaden Daniels, who I thought was injured last week, he played. Looked like he's just fine. So, yeah, I'm going with the Commanders to win. Giants, y'all trash. Then we have the Denver Broncos taking on the Baltimore Ravens. And Broncos picked the win against the Panthers, and that's not hard to do at all. And the Ravens, tough division loss to the Cleveland Browns. Granted, they had a couple defensive injuries, which led Jameis Winston to pretty much give the Browns their best offensive game of the season. This game, they're back in Baltimore. I do think they're going to win. I do think they're going to bounce back. And Derrick Henry, you're going to get angry Derrick Henry in this one. Just be warned, Denver. And now we have the Chicago Bears taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals picking up their second win in a row off of a game-winning field goal, going on the road beating the Miami Dolphins last week. And Cardinals are basically proving to everyone that they're going to be a side in everyone's thorn. Not a playoff team, but they're a team that'll upset you in a heartbeat. As for the Bears, they had a win over the Commanders until Tariq Stevens mouthed out on the sidelines, failed to defend the Hail Mary, and the Bears lost. But to be fair, the Bears did play a decent game. But it just sucks that this win had to be taken away from them off of a very God-given Hail Mary by Washington. So in this game, I kind of went back and forth. They're giving the Cardinals a point in this one. So Vegas is projecting that this game's going to be very, very close. So, but for this game, I'm going to give the slightest of edge to the Bears to win. But I do see the Cardinals possibly shocking the world in this one. Now we have is the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, who will be wearing their Kelly Green uniforms. And what do you know? Doug Peterson is going to return to a nice warm welcome of boos. Jacksonville, tough loss to Green Bay in a game in which they actually played pretty well. They got nothing to be disappointed with except for not getting the W. And meanwhile, the Philadelphia Eagles, despite their first quarter woes, they picked it up in the second and third quarters, got the win over the Bengals, and all the turmoil they looked in the first 4 weeks, that's distant memory for them. They're now on a roll. They're now on the roll during this season, and 7.5 points favorites. I gotta give this one to the Birds, but if Doug Peterson could pull up some tricks up his sleeves in this one, I gotta say it. Then we have an NFC West matchup with the Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. Rams coming off a Thursday night win over the Vikings, and it was a nice little boost because Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua both returned for those games. As for the Seattle Seahawks, man, they got bullied at home by the Buffalo Bills. It was not a good game whatsoever for them. And with this game in Seattle, normally I would take the Seahawks to win. However, I'm going to lean towards the Rams to win. The Rams are back healthy. They could fully start they're now playing up to their potential, and I could see them going on the road and beating the Seahawks. And then on Sunday Night Football, we have the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Minnesota Vikings. And let me talk about the Vikings first, because it's their second loss in a row. Lost to the Rams in a tough fashion. It did end on a very horrible face mask call. But the Vikings, should they be concerned? Well, not yet. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And the Indianapolis Colts, they lost to the Texans, and Anthony Richardson, he actually during that game he pulled himself out saying, "I was tired." He pretty much breathing, and I get it. He gets gassed, but it felt like he was, I don't know. It didn't give out a good sign to the Colts organization. So he is benched in favor of the man, the myth, the legend, the eliteness of Joe Flacco. In Flacco, we trust. And they said he's going to be the starter pretty much indefinitely. We don't know if we don't know if Anthony Richardson will see the field again. We don't know if they're just going to rely on Joe Flacco for a few weeks or and once Richardson comes back, he'll be the starter. But man, this with this little benching, it makes the 2024 class look worse than it seems. So, but before I make a prediction, I also want to make mention that this will be the first time the Colts took on the Vikings since 33-0. Yeah. So in this game, I actually kind of went back and forth on this one. Part of me want to take the Colts because of the eliteness of Joe Flacco cannot be denied. And part of me want to take on the Vikings because sure they lost two straight, but they could But they had a mini bye week to regroup and they're back at home. So this game, I'm just gonna lean towards the home team slightly, but with Joe Flacco starting, anything is possible with the Colts. And now we have Monday Night Football with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, a Chiefs team that is overdue for a loss. I don't know when, but I see a loss from the Kansas City Chiefs coming sooner rather than later. And yes, they're 8-0. Let me take that back. They're 7-0. But we still have not seen them in peak form. Yes, they got the win over the Raiders on the road, but Mahomes still turning the ball over. Pretty much getting bailed out by the Chiefs' elite defense. As for the Buccaneers, they lost to the Falcons, but right now the Bucs right now they're not in full strength. They lost Mike Evans, he did not play last week. Chris Godwin, he's out for the year. Yet Baker Mayfield did have an okay game without them two. That's promising to see. Now, of course, I'm going to take the Chiefs to win this game. They're favored by 9 points. But do I think the Bucs have a chance to pull off the unthinkable? I actually think they can pull it off. But as of right now, I got to go with the Chiefs to win. And finally, my game of the week. The Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. The Lions blowing out the Titans despite very little of a passing game. They put up 52 points against them. Both running backs got going, and both their tight ends scored on tight ends day. Meanwhile, for the Packers, yes, they won in Jacksonville, and they did most of it without Jordan Love. He had a groin strain, but it turns out he's going to be fine. Possibly he'll be ready to go against the Detroit Lions. It was nothing more than a groin strain. And looking at this game, this is going to be a really good battle for the NFC North. But just remember, the last 2 times Detroit came here, they walked out of Lambeau with the W. And right now, I think no different. The Lions right now, they look like the best team in the NFC. By far the best team in the NFC. And while I can see the Packers winning this game, it's going to be hard for me to go against the Detroit Lions. Imagine me saying that 3 years ago. And that concludes my Week 9 NFL predictions. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please gamble safely, and I'll see you next time.